Most people never really have a money problem. What they have is a mindset problem masquerading as a money problem. They think their life would be different if they just had more income. But the truth is, income without insight is a curse. More money only magnifies the dysfunction already present in how you think, how you move, and how you value yourself. And if your beliefs about money are broken, no amount of cash will fix your life, it will just deepen your chaos. I did not always understand this. There was a time when I measured my worth by what I earned. I believed that struggle was holy, that money was selfish, that being spiritual meant being broke. I told myself I was above needing it, even as I silently feared bills, delayed dreams, and denied pleasures I secretly longed for. I lived in a war between desire and guilt, between ambition and shame, and I called it virtue. But the real breakthrough came the day I asked a terrifyingly honest question: what if I have been taught to fear the very tool that could free me? That question shattered everything. I began to see that money is not moral. It is not evil. It is not divine. It is neutral, a mirror that simply reflects the mind that holds it. Give money to a fool, and he becomes dangerous. Give it to the wise, and she becomes generous. Money is not power. Clarity is power. And when your mind is right, money simply becomes a megaphone for your mission. This book is not about getting rich. It is about getting real. Real with your patterns. Real with your conditioning. Real with the stories you have inherited and never questioned. Because until you rewire your money mindset, you will keep sabotaging the very abundance you secretly crave. You must start seeing money not as a symbol of success, but as a tool of transformation. A tool to build, to bless, to create, to protect. A tool that is neither your master nor your enemy but your servant. Because when you master your mindset, money begins to flow not just to you, but through you. This book will teach you how. You will unlearn the lies that money is scarce, that you must hustle to deserve it, that saving is selfish or spending is sinful. You will dismantle the fear that tells you to just get by instead of build boldly. You will break free from survival thinking and step into strategic stewardship. But more than anything, you will start seeing clearly. You will see that the paycheck is not your provider, you are. You will see that wealth is not a number, it is a mindset. You will see that generosity is not a reward for success, it is the root of it. And you will stop outsourcing your security to a system that was never designed to protect your dreams. This is your reset. This is the moment you choose to stop running from money and start partnering with it. Because money is not the enemy. Confusion is. Fear is. Shame is. But clarity? Clarity is the beginning of wealth. Chapter 1. The mind behind the money. It is not your salary. It is not your savings account. It is not your side hustle or your investment portfolio. It is your mind that shapes your financial reality. What you believe about money determines how you earn it, how you keep it, how you grow it, and more importantly, how you experience it. Because you do not interact with money from your wallet. You interact with it from your belief system. And if that system is infected with fear, guilt, shame, or scarcity, then no strategy, no income increase, no external change will be enough to create lasting abundance. Let us be honest, most people are afraid of money. Not because they admit it, but because they do not understand it. They speak of it with tension in their voice. They avoid looking at their accounts. They live in a cycle of feast and famine, of chasing and avoiding, of desiring and resenting all at once. And worse, they inherit their beliefs instead of choosing them. They replace sentences they heard growing up: money does not grow on trees, rich people are greedy, better to be safe than sorry, we cannot afford that. Over time, these phrases turn into operating codes. They become rules for reality. Not because they are true, but because they are familiar. Familiarity is the foundation of all belief. You do not believe what is true. You believe what you have heard the most often, the most consistently, and from the voices you trusted. So if your upbringing was full of fear around finances, that fear becomes your baseline. If you witness conflict every time money came up, you associate money with stress. If your parents praised survival but never modeled strategy, you subconsciously begin to think that getting by is the goal and dreaming beyond your limits is delusional. This is how people stay stuck for years. They make just enough to survive, but never enough to expand. They earn out of urgency, not design. They say they want more, but when opportunity knocks, they feel unworthy. They self-sabotage with decisions that match their identity, not their intention. Because the money in your hand can only rise to the level of the mind that holds it. And unless your mind evolves, your finances will stay emotionally capped. The shift begins with awareness. You cannot change what you are not willing to name. Sit down and ask yourself, what are my earliest memories of money? When did I first feel unsafe financially? Who taught me what is possible? What emotions come up when I think about being wealthy? Excitement, fear, guilt. What do I believe about rich people? About poor people? About myself? Do I believe money will change me or reveal me? These are not surface questions. These are excavation tools. They pull the roots up from the soil so you can plant something stronger, cleaner, truer. Because until you rewrite the code, you are just installing new habits on an old operating system. And the crash is inevitable. Your mind is the bank. Your thoughts are the currency. Every time you say, I cannot afford that, your subconscious receives it as law. Every time you say, I am bad with money, it builds a case to prove it. But when you begin to say, I am learning to manage abundance, or I am becoming a steward of wealth, your subconscious begins to shift. It does not resist new truth, it just needs repetition. That is how belief is rewritten. Not through one powerful thought, but through many consistent ones. Think of it this way, your financial life is a garden. Most people want to pick better fruit. They want more money, better options, nicer things. But the fruit is just the evidence. The root is the mindset. If your soil is full of scarcity, no matter what seeds you plant, nothing lasting will grow. But if you change the soil, everything changes. That is the promise of this work. It is not just to make more money. It is to make more meaning with the money you already have, and to multiply what is aligned with your highest self. But make no mistake, this is not just about positive thinking. This is about strategic rewiring. About deconstructing inherited belief systems and choosing new ones that reflect your future, not your fears. About becoming emotionally literate with your finances. Most people think they need a budget. What they actually need is emotional clarity. Because behind every overspending habit is a story. Behind every avoidance pattern is pain. Behind every poor financial decision is an internal decision to stay in the comfort zone, even if that comfort zone is suffocating. The strategic thinker looks at money not as a god, not as a villain, but as a tool. A tool that reflects, amplifies, and responds. A tool that, when handled with clarity and vision, can build not just wealth but wholeness. A tool that, when feared or misused, can distort your peace, manipulate your values, and trap your identity in cycles that were never meant to define you. You are not here to chase money. You are here to command it. To understand its language. To master its movement. And to do that, you must first master the one thing no one can see, but that shapes everything: the mind behind the money. This is the foundation. Until you get this right, nothing else will work for long. Chapter 2. Survival Thinking versus Strategic Wealth. There is a voice inside you that was never yours to begin with. It whispers, "Just get by." It tells you not to dream too big. It praises you for cutting corners, applauds you for shrinking your desires, rewards you for making it work even when your soul is starving. That voice is not your wisdom. It is your conditioning. And it comes from generations of survival thinking passed down like an heirloom, worn like a badge of humility, carried like an invisible chain. Survival thinking is not a lack of intelligence. It is a pattern forged in pain. It is what your ancestors developed to endure scarcity, to stay alive through struggle, to stretch a coin and sacrifice a dream. But what kept them alive may now be what is keeping you small. Because survival trains you to minimize, to hesitate, to fear risk, to avoid expansion. It teaches you to settle, and then congratulates you for being responsible. But responsibility without vision is just stagnation with a noble name. You must wake up to the difference between survival and strategy. Survival says, "I hope I have enough this month." Strategy says, "How do I create multiple flows of income that reflect my values and goals?" Survival says, "Let me hold on to this just in case." Strategy says, "Let me deploy this in a way that multiplies over time." Survival looks for security. Strategy builds systems. And here is the painful truth: most people live in survival mode their entire lives without ever questioning it because it feels responsible. They confuse fear with wisdom. They think small decisions equal safety. But small thinking does not keep you safe. It keeps you stuck. I have seen this in people who earn six figures but still live paycheck to paycheck. Not because they do not have money, but because their mindset is still anchored in fear. They save out of panic, spend from pressure, and make decisions from lack, not logic. Their money habits are simply a mirror of their nervous system. They were never taught to be wealthy. They were only taught to survive. Strategic wealth is not just about numbers. It is about how you think when no one is watching. It is the moment you decide to break the invisible ceiling. The moment you say, "I do not want to just make more money. I want to think like someone who knows how to multiply it, use it, honor it, and be free because of it." You cannot live your life hoarding pennies and praying for miracles. You must become the miracle. The builder. The one who understands that wealth is not a gift, it is a discipline. And discipline requires rethinking everything you were taught about what is possible for you. Survival is short minus term. Strategy is generational. Survival makes decisions based on what is affordable today. Strategy asks, what investment will free me for the next 10 years? Survival avoids risk at all cost. Strategy manages risk with insight, information, and intelligent movement. Survival builds walls. Strategy builds bridges. And most of all, survival assumes scarcity is normal. But strategy knows that abundance is a skill and skills can be learned, refined, and embodied. Think about how you move through your day. Do you check your bank account with tension in your chest? Do you say yes to things out of financial guilt instead of conscious choice? Do you undercharge your services because you think it is more fair to stay small than to ask for what you are truly worth? These are survival patterns, and they are expensive. Not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually, and energetically. To break free, you must stop asking, "Can I afford this?" and start asking, "Does this align with my vision, my values, and my long-term strategy?" Wealthy people do not think in dollars. They think in decades. They understand that money is not just a resource, it is a relationship. And the more clarity, consistency, and integrity they bring to that relationship, the more it grows. They know that wealth is built in quiet decisions repeated consistently, not in one lucky break. This is not just about financial planning. It is about identity expansion. Because you cannot receive what you do not believe you are worthy to steward. And most people reject abundance subconsciously because they do not recognize themselves in the life they say they want. If you still identify as the struggler, the underdog, the overlooked, then any level of success will feel like a costume. You will either sabotage it, shrink it, or separate yourself from it emotionally. But the strategist rewrites the identity first. They say, I am a builder of wealth. I am a steward of resources. I am a generator of opportunity. I am safe with power. I am responsible with abundance. I am free. And they act accordingly, even before the money matches the mindset. So let this be your pivot. Stop clinging to survival as if it is sacred. Start honoring your future with strategy. Every time you budget, do it with clarity, not panic. Every time you invest, do it with education, not emotion. Every time you earn, do it with intention, not desperation. Because your life is not meant to be a financial emergency with moments of relief. Your life is meant to be a mission fully researched by wisdom. That is what wealth is. Not comfort. Not control. But capacity. And when you stop surviving and start strategizing, money stops being a burden and becomes the tool it was always meant to be. Chapter 3. Money mirrors identity. Money is not just a currency, it is a mirror. It reflects how you see yourself, how you value your time, how you measure your worth, and what you believe you deserve. Every dollar you touch carries your identity into action. Whether you hoard it, waste it, give it, multiply it, fear it, or hide from it, you are always projecting your internal world into your external financial life. And until you address the self, you will never sustainably transform the situation. You think money is about logic. But money is about emotion. Deep emotion. Inherited emotion. Unspoken emotion. Every purchase is a story. Every budget is a belief system. Every investment is a statement of who you think you are becoming or who you are still afraid to be. The way you earn money reveals how much agency you believe you have. The way you ask for money reveals how comfortable you are with being seen as valuable. The way you spend money reveals what you think will bring you safety, power, identity, or love. Money is not separate from your self-Midas image, it is a shadow of it. And that is why strategy without identity leads to sabotage. You can read all the books, hire the best coaches, build all the spreadsheets. But if deep down you still believe you are the one who always struggles, who never gets ahead, who cannot be trusted with abundance, then you will create circumstances to confirm that belief. Not because you are broken, but because the subconscious protects what is familiar, even if it is painful. This is why most people unconsciously return to financial stress, even after a breakthrough. They receive the promotion, the raise, the bonus, but within months, the money is gone. Or it is untouched because they are afraid to use it. Or they spend it in ways that sabotage their momentum. Why? Because the money outran their identity. And when your identity has not evolved, your bank account cannot expand. So what is the answer? You must rewire your internal thermostat. You must reset what you believe is normal for you, not based on what you have experienced, but based on what you now choose to embody. This is not about pretending to be rich. It is about practicing a mindset of resourcefulness, clarity, and self-respect. Ask yourself, what financial patterns keep repeating in my life? What story am I telling myself every time I check my account? What do I feel when I hold money? Guilt, power, fear, pride? What income level feels safe? What amount feels dangerous? When I imagine wealth, what version of me do I see? Do I trust that version? Do I believe they deserve peace? Until these questions are answered with brutal honesty, money will remain a battlefield. Not because of the numbers, but because of the narrative. Let me give you an example. I once worked with a woman who constantly found herself earning just enough to scrape by. No matter how hard she worked, how much she planned, she could never seem to break past her invisible ceiling. One day I asked her, what would happen if you made triple what you earn now? She paused. Her voice cracked. I would feel like I was abandoning my family. I grew up watching my mother struggle. If I make more than she ever did, I feel like I am leaving her behind. There it was. The identity block. She was not resisting money, she was protecting belonging. And that subconscious loyalty was more powerful than any goal. Once we worked through it, not just intellectually but emotionally, she began to give herself permission to rise. Within 6 months, she had doubled her income. Not because she got smarter, but because she finally believed she could rise without betrayal. You must examine your loyalties too. What identities are you protecting that no longer serve you? Who are you afraid to outgrow? What version of yourself are you attached to because it keeps you safe, accepted, unseen? These identities will cost you your wealth, because they keep you spending like a struggler, saving like a victim, charging like a beggar, or giving like a martyr. But you can choose a new identity. One that is grounded in abundance without arrogance. One that values contribution without sacrifice. One that can receive wealth without shame and use it as a force for expansion. Here is the truth: you do not rise to your income. You rise to your identity. And if you want a new level of money, you must build a new level of self-minus concept. Start now. Stop saying, I am broke. Start saying, I am building new structures for abundance. Stop saying, I am not good with money. Start saying, I am learning to be a wise steward of wealth. Stop saying, I never have enough. Start saying, I am aligning with more than enough internally first, then externally. Because the way you speak reveals what you expect. And your expectations train your behavior. And your behavior teaches money how to respond to you. Money is always listening. Not to your words, but to your identity. So if you want to rewire your money, you must rewire who you are when you hold it. Chapter 4. Earning with intention: the difference between hustling and designing. The world celebrates hustle. It glorifies grinding, long hours, relentless motion. It tells you that if you are not constantly exhausted, you are not working hard enough. That if you are not sacrificing sleep, relationships, and peace, you must not really want it. But here is the truth: the world never says out loud hustling without direction is just burnout in slow motion. There is nothing noble about wearing yourself down to prove you are worthy of earning. There is nothing strategic about collecting paychecks you hate for work you do not believe in. There is nothing freeing about building income streams that own your time, your health, your joy. Money earned without intention becomes a prison. And yet, this is where most people live. Not because they are lazy, but because they have never been taught to think differently. They were taught to chase opportunity, not design alignment. They were told to say yes to any job, any deal, any client, any check, because more income must mean more success. But income without alignment is the fastest way to lose your soul while pretending you are winning. You must start turning on purpose. Earning with intention does not mean you make less. It means you make with meaning. It means you choose how to earn, not based on desperation, but on design. You do not chase clients who drain you. You do not clock into systems that disrespect you. You stop selling your peace for pennies just to say you are productive. Because you are no longer hustling to survive. You are building to sustain. This begins with one powerful question: what do I want my money to do for me? Not just today. Not just this month. but over the next 5 years, the next 10. Do you want it to buy time freedom? Relocate your family. Fund your creativity. Build your legacy. Retire your parents. Design your day. Fuel your impact. Until you know the answer, you will keep chasing numbers with no purpose. And when money has no purpose, it disappears. But when money is given a mission, it multiplies. Earning with intention also means you stop measuring your value by how busy you are. Business is not proof of effectiveness. Hustle is not proof of mastery. You can be booked and still broke. You can be working all day and still building someone else's dream. You can be active and still financially stuck. So you must shift the goal. From hustle to leverage. From motion to multiplication. From being everywhere to being exactly where you are needed and nowhere else. Let me give you a story. A man once came to me with 5 income streams. He was exhausted. Running on fumes. Working 70-hour weeks. He said, I thought this was freedom. But his voice was hollow. He had money but no time, no peace, no clarity. I asked him which of these streams is actually aligned with the life you want. He went silent. The next week, he cut 3. Doubled down on the 2 that aligned with his deepest gifts. Within a year, he had increased his income and reclaimed his health. Why? Because he stopped earning from pressure and started earning from precision. That is what intentional earning does. It frees you from the trap of more. It teaches you that income is not just about expansion, it is about alignment. When you earn from alignment, you wake up excited. You deliver excellence without forcing it. You create space to think, to breathe, to build instead of just survive. This also changes how you price your work, how you ask for raises, how you position your value. When you earn with intention, you stop negotiating from need. You start commanding from clarity. You do not beg for worth, you set it. You do not fear rejection, you recognize misalignment. Because you know who you are. You know what you carry. And you are no longer willing to trade your peace for proximity to a paycheck. Earning with intention requires boundaries. You must be willing to say no. To laughable offers. To underpriced gigs. To clients who only want your labor, but not your genius. To systems that demand your presence but disrespect your purpose. You must be willing to stop showing up where your excellence is not seen as an investment but exploited as a discount. This is not pride. It is precision. You are not hard to work with. You are clear. And the clearer you become, the more your money reflects order, not chaos. Because when your income matches your intention, you do not need to hustle harder. You just need to hold your standard. So let this be your new rule. No more money without meaning. No more motion without strategy. No more income that insults your identity. You are no longer earning to survive. You are earning to design. Design a life. Design a rhythm. Design a legacy that pays you in more than just dollars. Because when your money comes from purpose, it becomes power. And when you earn with intention, you do not just make money, you make a statement. Chapter 5. Writing financial boundaries. What you allow is what you experience. There is no such thing as a neutral relationship with money. Every interaction you have with it is teaching it how to respond to you. Every decision you make is either reinforcing clarity or inviting chaos. And behind every repeated financial pattern is one truth you cannot escape. You are always teaching money what is allowed in your life. If you overspend, money learns that urgency overrides intention. If you undercharge, money learns that your worth is negotiable. If you tolerate financial disrespect, clients that pay late, employers that underpay, partners that misuse, it becomes the standard. Not because you chose it, but because you did not correct it. Boundaries are not walls, they are agreements. They are the lines you draw between what is welcomed and what is not. Between stewardship and sabotage. Between clarity and confusion. And unless you are willing to define those lines, the world will define them for you, usually in a way that depletes your power. You must begin to ask yourself, what is the financial energy I am allowing into my life? This includes how you earn, how you spend, how you give, how you ask, how you say no. Every transaction is a statement of identity. Every budget is a boundary. Every agreement is a vibration either aligned with your future or inherited from your past. But here is the challenge: most people never question their boundaries. They live by the defaults they inherited from their family, their culture, their survival season. They believe it is normal to go into debt every holiday. Expected to carry the financial weight in relationships. Necessary to say yes to underpaid opportunities just to prove their worth. But boundaries are not just about protection. They are about creation. When you draw a clear boundary around your time, your value, your vision, you are not cutting people off. You are making space for alignment. For wealth that flows with ease. For relationships that respect your purpose. For income that honors your energy. Let us make this practical. A weak boundary says, I will take any job if they are willing to pay me something. A strong boundary says, I will offer my skills where I am valued and decline where I am tolerated. A weak boundary says, I do not want to seem greedy, so I will not raise my prices. A strong boundary says, my price reflects my preparation, my integrity, and my results. I am not for everyone, and that is okay. A weak boundary says, I will just cover their portion again. It is easier than talking about it. A strong boundary says, I am no longer funding silence. We either discuss the imbalance or I release the pattern. This is not about being rigid. It is about being anchored. Because if you do not set a financial boundary, you will always resent the people who cross a line you never clearly drew. One of the most expensive things you can do is say yes out of guilt. That dinner you said yes to because you could not say no. That is $150 of financial resentment. That course you bought because you feared missing out, not because it aligned. That is $800 of emotional noise. That person you keep helping financially, even though they refuse to grow. That is not generosity. That is enabling. And it will cost you everything if you do not get honest. But boundaries are not just about what you stop doing. They are also about what you start honoring. Honor your budget not as a restriction but as a statement of self-respect. Honor your earning capacity not just with effort, but with pricing that matches your evolution. Honor your giving not with martyrdom but with discernment. Give where it multiplies, not where it maintains dysfunction. Honor your financial goals not as a fantasy, but as a destination that deserves protection from every energy, habit, and relationship that dilutes it. You must start treating your financial life like a sacred space. Not everyone gets access. Not every opportunity deserves a yes. Not every emotion should doctor the purchase. Not every request must be answered with sacrifice. Let me give you an example. I worked with a creative entrepreneur who constantly felt drained financially, emotionally, spiritually. She made decent money, but none of it stayed. Her time was always consumed. Her projects rarely felt fulfilling. When we looked deeper, it became clear she had no financial boundaries. Her clients dictated her schedule. Her friends expected discounts. Her own fear of being seen as selfish kept her saying yes to everything that depleted her. We created new standards. She tripled her minimum rate. She added late fees to her contracts. She said no to any work that did not light her up or meet her rate. Within 6 months, her income doubled. But more importantly, her peace returned. Because that is what boundaries do. They heal. They restore. They invite what is true and release what is toxic. But they only work when you enforce them consistently without apology, without guilt, without trying to keep everyone comfortable. You are not responsible for protecting someone else's perception of you. You are responsible for protecting your alignment. Because your alignment is what sustains your vision. So from now on, before you say yes, ask, does this honor the financial future I am building? Does this agreement respect the value I carry? Does this request align with my vision or distract from it? Does this dynamic give from mutuality or drain from obligation? And if the answer is no, the boundary is the answer. You owe no one your financial exhaustion. You owe yourself clarity. Because you are no longer a participant in random money cycles. You are now the architect of financial boundaries that build a life of peace, purpose, and overflow. Chapter 6. Emotional spending healing the real hunger. Money is never just about money. Every dollar you spend carries a message. Sometimes that message is clear, a transaction for a service, a product, a need. But more often, money is how we cope with emptiness, with anxiety, with boredom, with loneliness. Emotional spending is not a character flaw. It is a cry for comfort. It is your subconscious saying, I feel a lack somewhere and I do not know how else to fill it. Most people do not overspend because they are careless. They overspend because they are carrying unprocessed emotion. They go shopping not for a new outfit but for a moment of control. They order more food not because they are hungry but because they are numbing disappointment. They invest in programs they are not ready to commit to not because they believe in them, but because they are afraid of falling behind. Behind every financial decision is an emotional driver, and unless you identify it, you will keep repeating the same pattern with new numbers. Money is emotional. It touches every wound you have ever felt around worth, safety, comparison, belonging, and identity. And no budget can fix what was never a financial problem, it can only highlight it. That is why you can create a spreadsheet, promise yourself to cut back, and still go on an unplanned spending spree the moment you feel overwhelmed. You are not sabotaging your budget. You are trying to self-soothe. But here is the deeper truth: you will never find peace through a purchase. You may feel a surge of excitement. You may feel temporary relief. But when the rush fades, the emotion remains unresolved, untouched, waiting for another moment of weakness to rise again. That is why emotional spending is never about the item. It is about the absence inside of you. So, how do you heal it? You begin by pausing not just your card but your attention. You start asking better questions in the moment of impulse. Not, can I afford this? But what am I really looking for right now? Am I lonely? Am I bored? Am I anxious about my future? Am I trying to keep up with someone else? Am I numbing the guilt I feel over rest? These are not easy questions, but they are freeing. Because when you name the real need, you begin to treat the root instead of medicating the symptoms. Think about it: how many purchases in your life have been apologies to yourself? I am so tired. I deserve this. I worked hard. I need to feel better. This will fix how I feel about my day. Emotional spending always promises to restore your power, but it often leaves you more disconnected than before. The key is not restriction. The key is redirection. You must build new rituals for comfort, for celebration, for coping. Instead of retail therapy, create emotional wealth. When you feel the urge to spend, take a breath. Ask yourself, what feeling am I chasing? Then ask, what action would give me that feeling without a purchase? Is it connection? Call someone. Is it peace? Take a walk. Is it recognition? Acknowledge your own effort. Is it celebration? Dance, move, write, laugh, free ways to validate your own progress. Is it numbness? Sit still. Let the emotion come. Let it pass. Let it teach you something you were too busy to notice. Because every impulse carries a message and the strategist listens before acting. Emotional spending is also often tied to identity gaps. The moment you feel not enough, you reach for something that makes you look enough, feel enough, or appear enough. The new outfit, the gadget, the luxury meal. But until you know who you are, your spending will always try to prove it. Let me say this clearly: you are not your purchases. You are not your outfit, your brand, your bag, your car, your house. You are not your salary. You are not your savings account. You are not the zeros in your investment profile. You are a soul, not a statement. And when your soul is nourished, your spending becomes clean. Clean spending is when money is an expression of joy, not a cover for lack. Clean spending is when a yes feels expansive, not anxiety-inducing. Clean spending is when generosity flows from overflow, not from a need to be liked. Clean spending is when you invest in your future with courage, not to escape your present with panic. This is not about becoming rigid. It is about becoming restored. Restored to your truth. Restored to your vision. Restored to the version of you who does not need a purchase to feel permission to breathe. So build a new money ritual. Before you spend, pause. Breathe. Ask. What emotion is present? What outcome do I hope this purchase will create? What would it look like to meet that need another way? Then decide. Not from impulse, but from insight. Not all emotional spending is wrong. Some of it is beautiful. Buying a meal to celebrate a win. Gifting a friend out of joy. Spoiling yourself with something that reflects your journey. That is not sabotage, that is ceremony. The difference is intention. You must become emotionally literate in your financial life. You must know what drives you, what soothes you, what triggers you. And you must build the muscles to respond, not react. To lead your emotions, not be led by them. To create space between the urge and the action, and in that space, build power. You are not weak because you have spending triggers. You are human. But you are no longer available for unconscious patterns. You are available for freedom. You are available for wisdom. You are available for stewardship. And emotional freedom is the wealth that protects every other form of wealth. Chapter 7. Reprogramming your money set point. Every person has a financial set point, an internal ceiling of what they believe is normal for them to have, hold, and handle. This set point is not conscious. It is not written down in your journal or saved in your notes app. But it lives inside you, quiet and stubborn, dictating what you allow, what you attract, and what you sustain. If you ever made more money than you were used to, and suddenly found a way to lose it, spend it, give it away, or sabotage it, that was your set point pulling you back into comfort. Money always moves in alignment with your identity. And identity always settles into what is familiar. If you grew up seeing struggle, you will unconsciously normalize lack. If your family never talked about investing, you will find it intimidating or foreign. If your culture taught you that wanting more is selfish, you will silently judge your own desire to grow. These ideas calcify over time. They become your truth, not because they are accurate, but because you have repeated them for so long they now feel safe. And safety is the subconscious mind's first priority. Your financial set point is not just a reflection of how much you make, it is how much you are willing to hold. Some people are amazing at earning but terrible at keeping. Others are disciplined at saving but terrified to spend. Still others oscillate between extremes, periods of obsessive budgeting, followed by bursts of unrestrained indulgence. This is not about self minus control. This is about self minus concept. Because you will always return to what you believe you are built for. Until you reset the internal thermostat, no external upgrade will last. So how do you reprogram your set point? You begin by noticing the ceiling. Ask yourself, what income level feels safe to me and what feels unrealistic? What level of savings feels comfortable and what feels like too much? Do I feel guilt or fear when I have more than others around me? What emotional discomfort arises when I imagine having true financial ease? These questions will not give you quick answers, but they will reveal where your set point is locked. And once you see the limits, you can begin to stretch them not by force, but by familiarity. The subconscious does not accept change through pressure. It accepts change through repetition. You must expose yourself daily to the idea that more is not only possible, it is normal. That peace is not rare, it is your new default. That wealth is not a fluke, it is a result of internal design. This is not just about affirmations. It is about embodiment. You must begin to act, dress, think, schedule, and respond like the version of you who has already reset the thermostat. Not as a performance, but as a preparation. You are teaching your nervous system to hold more safely, without sabotage, without shame. Here is what that looks like in practice. You set financial goals that stretch you but do not overwhelm you. You celebrate small wins, not just the big ones, so your mind connects growth with safety. You learn to sit with surplus, even if it feels uncomfortable at first, instead of finding ways to release it. You expand your capacity to receive compliments, payments, generosity without deflecting, minimizing, or deferring it. Because receiving is a muscle. And most people are underdeveloped. They want more, but they flinch when it arrives. They say they want wealth, but deep down they are afraid of who they might become with it. So they delay. They overcomplicate. They self-sabotage in sophisticated ways. You must give yourself emotional permission to hold more. Permission to have without explaining. Permission to expand without guilt. Permission to enjoy without fear. Permission to build without burning out. This is how you raise the set point, not by more hustle, but by more healing. You must also surround yourself with new normalcy. Environments shape expectation. If everyone around you is struggling, you will unconsciously shrink to fit the room. If wealth is only something you see on screens, you will distance yourself from it emotionally. But if you enter spaces where abundance is modeled with integrity, your set point will begin to stretch automatically. So put yourself in proximity to expansion. Read stories of people who have transformed their finances with joy, not grind. Listen to voices that speak abundance as a frequency, not just a formula. Build relationships where money is not taboo but transparent, empowering, and honest. Do not isolate your financial journey. Isolation feeds fear. Community births belief. Lastly, you must stay present in the stretch. When you start to grow, your nervous system will push back. You will be tempted to slide back into safety through overspending, undercharging, delaying decisions, or staying busy instead of being strategic. That is normal. But you must learn to recognize the pattern and breathe through it. You are not going backward, you are expanding capacity. You are not just making more, you are becoming more. And that version of you? The one who holds money with clarity, who attracts aligned income, who manages with peace, who gives with precision, and who receives without apology. That version is already inside you. You are not becoming her. You are remembering her. So raise the set point. Raise the standard. Raise the level of belief about what is normal, sustainable, and safe for you to carry. Because until your mind expands, your money will contract. But once your identity aligns, everything flows from there. Chapter 8. Investing is self-rust. Why risk is a mirror, not a monster. Most people say they want financial growth, But what they truly want is guaranteed success without discomfort. They say they are ready to invest, but only if the outcome is certain, the timing is perfect, and the return is instant. And when those conditions are not met, they call it too risky and walk away. But the truth is, they are not afraid of the investment. They are afraid of themselves. Because every investment is not just a financial decision, it is a test of your self-trust. Your willingness to invest reflects your belief in your ability to respond. Not just to reward, but to uncertainty. Not just to profit, but to process. When you avoid investing, what you are often avoiding is responsibility, the responsibility to pivot if things do not go as planned. The responsibility to stay the course when doubt creeps in. The responsibility to own your financial path instead of blaming your circumstances. Money is energy. It flows toward belief. And the moment you say that, fear hides behind logic. It disguises itself as wisdom. But in reality, it is often a refusal to rise. Now let us be clear, not every opportunity is right. Not every offer is aligned. But strategic avoidance is different from subconscious self-protection. The first is clarity. The second is fear. And unless you can tell the difference, you will keep missing doors that could have changed everything. The strategist understands risk is not the enemy. Risk is the mirror. It shows you where your capacity ends and where your next evolution begins. The question is not, is this investment safe? The question is, who do I need to become to make this investment successful? That question reframes everything. Because now, you are not just chasing profit, you are building power. You are not just throwing money into the wind, you are activating responsibility, vision, and execution. People often ask, should I invest in this program, this property, this stock, this business? And my answer is always, is the person you will become through this process worth more than the money it costs? If the answer is yes, the investment is already valuable even if the outcome looks different than you imagined. Because some investments pay in dollars. Others pay in identity, in confidence, in skill, in access, in alignment. And that return compounds far longer than any check ever could. But you cannot access it if you stay addicted to certainty. Certainty is a prison in disguise. It looks like safety, but it slowly kills your potential. The most powerful people in the world are not the ones who avoid all risk. They are the ones who calculate it, prepare for it, and walk into it with clarity. So how do you build the courage to invest? First, get emotionally honest. What are you really afraid of? Losing money or losing face? Failing or being seen failing? Making a mistake or having to admit that your growth requires process, not perfection. Your fear has a voice. You must let it speak. And then you must decide if you will live by that voice or lead it. Second, redefine return. Not every investment will give you immediate cash, but it can give you capacity. One bad hire can teach you how to lead. One failed launch can teach you how to adapt. One course you did not finish might still plant the one idea that changes your trajectory. But if you judge every investment by surface metrics, you will miss the deeper magic. Third, create a money mindset that supports intelligent risk. This means separating emotion from evaluation. Ask, does this align with my long-term vision? Is this the right timing for me, not just the market? Do I have the energy, time, and focus to activate what I am investing in? Can I survive this risk emotionally and financially, even if it does not pay off immediately? These questions are not rooted in fear. They are rooted in wisdom. When answered honestly, they protect you from impulse and invite you into integrity. And finally, learn to see investing as identity work. Every time you invest, You are casting a vote for the future you are building. You are telling your subconscious, this is who I am now. Someone who moves with faith. Someone who expects a return. Someone who partners with resources, not panics around them. The first investment is always the hardest. But it rewires your brain. It shifts your internal chemistry. It reminds you that you are not fragile, you are capable. You can make decisions, adjust, evolve, and thrive. That belief, once activated, is unstoppable. And no, not every investment will feel easy. That is not the point. The point is to build the muscles required to carry more. The point is to stop playing life on the clearance rack while pretending you are aiming for abundance. The point is to remember that you are the asset, and everything you invest in that sharpens, strengthens, and stretches you is already paying you back. So invest in your skill, in your peace, in your education, in your health, in your team, in your tools, in your space, in your time freedom. Do not wait until it feels safe. Move when it feels aligned. Because the ones who win are not the ones who waited for certainty. They are the ones who trusted their future self more than they feared a temporary loss. Invest like someone who knows they will make it work. Because once your money becomes an expression of self minus trust, it stops being a monster and becomes the mirror of your becoming. Chapter 9. The power of financial vision. Where there is no picture, there is no progress. Money without vision is motion without meaning. It is like water in your hands slipping through fingers, never collected, never multiplied, never truly owned. You might earn. You might spend. You might even save. But without a clear picture of why it matters and where it is taking you, you will eventually circle back to the same place, working more, worrying more, and wondering why more never feels like enough. You must understand this: money flows where clarity lives. And clarity begins with vision. Not vague dreams. Not random goals. Not one minus size minus fits minus all milestones. But a personal, honest, soul minus level picture of what wealth means to you and how it looks, feels, and breathes in your everyday life. Most people never take the time to define that picture. They chase the numbers society tells them to aim for. 6 figures. I million minus dollar net worth. I home in the right zip code. But when they arrive, they feel hollow. Because the number was never the vision. It was just the noise. And noise cannot satisfy a soul that longs for meaning. Vision is not a number. Vision is a direction. It is what anchors your effort and aligns your choices. It is what keeps you grounded when things get tight and focused when things get loud. Vision reminds you why you said no to the shiny, why you chose the steady path over the chaotic one, why you built with patience when others rushed ahead. Without vision, money becomes a cycle. Earn, spend, worry, repeat. With vision, money becomes a tool for destiny. So ask yourself, what does your wealth want to do? Do you want your mornings free and unhurried? Do you want your parents retired early? Do you want your children's education funded without stress? Do you want to travel when you want, without asking for permission? Do you want to start a business that changes lives? Do you want to buy back your time? Do you want to give at levels that shake the room? Until you answer those questions with specificity, you are not building, you are drifting. Write your vision down. Name it. Describe it. Get uncomfortably detailed. Feel it. Not someday. No. Speak it as a current unfolding, not a distant fantasy. That level of clarity unlocks your creative power. It magnetizes opportunity. It organizes your decisions. Suddenly you are not buying a course because it looks cool. You are buying it because it is a brick in the foundation of your vision. You are not budgeting because someone told you to. You are budgeting because your future deserves a solid strategy. Vision gives money a job. It tells every dollar where to go, how to grow, and what to protect. Without it, money becomes emotional. It follows mood. It chases highs. It disappears. But when your vision is clear, your money becomes focused. It works for you. It multiplies with purpose. It stops being the goal and starts becoming the servant. Let me tell you a truth I learned the hard way. Without vision, even wealth becomes a burden. I have watched people hit their financial goals and crumble under pressure because they built a tower with no reason to climb it. Their success became a prison. Their freedom became a facade. Why? Because they followed someone else's definition of making it. They never stopped to ask, what is my definition of a life well minus researched, well minus used, well minus lived? You must answer that question for yourself. Do not let the internet write your vision. Do not let your parents write your vision. Do not let scarcity write it. Do not let shame shape it. You write it. With boldness. With truth. With specificity that makes your spirit sit up straight. Because once your vision is set, your standards follow. You stop undercharging because your future deserves better. You stop overspending because your vision cannot afford the distraction. You stop saying yes to everyone because not everyone fits where you are going. Vision makes you selective. Not out of arrogance. Out of alignment. Every big financial leap you want begins not with a spreadsheet but with a picture. Can you see yourself earning freely, managing wisely, giving boldly? Can you see yourself debt minus free, decision minus rich, time minus liberated? Can you see yourself calm during tax season, confident in negotiations, certain about every dollar you direct? If you cannot see it, you cannot build it. Because vision is the blueprint. And without a blueprint, you are just moving bricks. This is the pivot from consumer to constructor. From reaction to creation. From following trends to funding transformation. So set the vision. Make it visual. Make it visceral. And every morning before you check your balance, check your blueprint. Because you are no longer just working for money. You are designing a life. And every dollar is a decision. Let each one honor the future that is already calling you forward. Chapter 10. Becoming the architect, building a system that honors you. If your life feels financially chaotic, it is not because you are incapable. It is because you are unstructured. Money does not respond to chaos. It does not respond to moods, to guilt, or even to good intentions. Money responds to order. And if your financial life is not yet flowing with clarity and consistency, it is because you are operating without a system, and a vision without a system is just a wish. Most people do not need more motivation, they need mechanics. A clear structure that tells their money where to go, when to rest, how to grow, and what to guard. Without a system, you will keep relying on willpower. But willpower is a terrible master. It fades in stress. It bends under pressure. It disappears in temptation. And if you are still managing your financial life by how you feel, you are not building, you are gambling. Money is a multiplier. But it only multiplies what is stable. And stability does not happen by accident, it happens by design. You must become the architect of your financial life. This means designing systems that reflect who you are becoming, not just who you have been. If you identify as a builder of wealth, your finances should not look like a survival zone. If you see yourself as a strategist, your money should not be reacting to every bill, impulse, or bad day. If you value freedom, your system should be freeing you, not confusing you. Start simple. Money needs 3 homes: a place to live, a place to grow, and a place to move. Your place to live is your spending plan, not a punishment but a permission slip. It is where you decide, ahead of time, how your money will behave. It is where you anchor your peace by removing the guesswork. Most people call this a budget. I call it a boundary with vision. Your place to grow is your savings and investments, not just for emergencies, but for opportunities. You must stop treating your future as a leftover. When you pay everyone but your own vision, you are not being responsible, you are being reactive. Every dollar you invest is a vote for the life you want tomorrow. The earlier you start voting, the louder your life speaks. Your place to move is your generosity, because money that does not move becomes stagnant. Whether you tithe, donate, gift, or circulate in conscious ways, money needs a reason to move that is bigger than you. The wealthiest people on the planet are not just earners, they are channels. They let money flow, and because it flows through them, it keeps flowing to them. But even systems must be built with soul. Do not just copy someone else's spreadsheet. Do not just follow a trend. Build systems that match your rhythm, your values, your priorities. Do you want to travel? Build a travel fund and automate it. Do you want to leave your job? Build a transition fund and protect it. Do you want to retire early? Build a long-term plan and stay loyal to it, even when no one else around you understands. Your system is your strategy made visible. It is the bridge between intention and embodiment. Without it, even your best ideas will slip into delay. With it, your momentum becomes automatic. But here is the most important part: a system that works must also be emotionally safe. This means building flexibility, grace, adjustability, because life will not always follow your numbers. Unexpected bills will come. Emotions will rise. Seasons will change. And if your system is too rigid, you will abandon it the first time it feels too tight. Structure should serve you, not suffocate you. So, leave space for joy, for celebration, for rest, for spontaneity that does not become sabotage. You are not a robot. You are a rhythm being. Your money should flow with your natural design, not against it. Let me tell you the truth. I wish someone told me sooner. You do not become wealthy by being perfect. You become wealthy by being consistent. You do not need to optimize everything in 1 week. You need to create a system that you can stick to, return to, and grow with. And you must protect that system like it is sacred. Because it is. It holds your vision. It carries your peace. It whispers your priorities back to you when the noise of the world tries to distract you. So build your system. Name your categories. Automate your habits. Track without shame. Adjust without quitting. Be firm in your direction, flexible in your flow. And, most of all, keep showing up. Because this is how you move from financial reaction to financial sovereignty. You are no longer hoping to get it together. You are designing it together. And when you do, your money will no longer feel like a source of pressure. It will become what it was always meant to be: servant of your vision, and a reflection of your wisdom. Chapter 11. Wealth as embodiment: becoming the person who can carry the life you say you want. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. You do not sustain wealth through techniques alone, you sustain it through embodiment. Through becoming the version of you who can hold peace without panic, expansion without sabotage, and overflow without self-erasure. This is the real work, not just learning to earn more, but becoming the kind of person who knows how to carry it. Wealth is not just about numbers. It is about nervous system capacity. You can learn every strategy in the world, but if your identity is still married to struggle, you will find a way to create lack, because abundance will feel unsafe. You will unconsciously delay payments, undercharge your gifts, overspend your freedom, or pick relationships that keep you small. Not because you are broken, but because your body and beliefs are still trained for survival. True wealth is embodied. It lives in your posture, your breath, your decisions. It shows up in how you walk into a room, how you manage silence, how you respond when unexpected expenses arise. Do you flinch? Do you collapse? Do you scramble? Or do you anchor deeper? Embodiment means that peace is no longer a performance. It is your position. Let me say this as clearly as I can: the wealth you build will only rise to the level of the identity you protect. If you are still making decisions from the identity of someone who is afraid, apologetic, or addicted to being needed, you will never let yourself grow past a certain point. Because that point would require you to become someone new. And becoming someone new always demands the death of an old comfort. This is why so many people fear success. Not because they do not want it, but because they are terrified of who they would have to stop being to hold it. The one who always saves others. The one who never takes up too much space. The one who stays quiet to keep the peace. The one who says "I'm fine" while they are breaking. But that identity cannot carry wealth. Because wealth requires boundaries. Wealth requires self-honor. Wealth requires receiving without guilt, resting without explanation, and investing in yourself without needing approval. And for many, that is more terrifying than staying broke. So how do you begin to embody wealth? You start small. You make decisions from your desired identity, not your current emotion. You speak as if you are already trusted. You spend as if you are already safe. You give as if you are already full. You invest as if you are already valuable. Not recklessly but consciously. With reverence. With clarity. With the understanding that your external world always bends to the frequency of your self-concept. Every morning, ask yourself, how does the wealthiest version of me think, speak, move, and decide today? Then do that. Not for the applause, but for the alignment. Embodying wealth means you stop outsourcing your power. You stop waiting for someone to believe in you before you act. You stop requiring permission to do what your soul already knows is yours. You stop asking, "Is this allowed?" and start declaring, "This is aligned." It also means your self-care becomes strategic. You protect your rest like it is revenue. You protect your joy like it is an asset. You protect your vision like it is a kingdom. Because it is. You stop trading your health for a paycheck. You stop shrinking in rooms that cannot hold your calling. You stop apologizing for requiring peace to do your best work. Because you now understand your life is the platform your wealth must stand on. And if the foundation is cracked, no amount of money will make you feel secure. I once mentored a brilliant woman who built a six-figure business but felt constantly drained. Her body was in burnout. Her relationships were strained. She was undercharging, over-delivering, and staying silent in rooms where her voice could have changed everything. When we worked together, I did not give her a marketing strategy. I gave her permission to embody the identity her income demanded. Within 3 months, she raised her prices, reclaimed her schedule, released 3 clients who did not honor her boundaries, and finally felt wealthy for the first time. Nothing changed but her embodiment. But because she changed, everything responded. This is the secret: money multiplies who you are. So if you want a new result, do not just change your numbers. Change your norms. Change your energy. Change the way you speak about yourself in silence. Because that is where your future is listening. Say this now. I am a calm steward of abundance. I receive without guilt. I give without fear. I decide without panic. I act without begging. I rest without apology. I lead without performance. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is the sound of someone who no longer confuses self-erasure with humility. You were never meant to just handle money. You were meant to channel it, to direct it with power, to carry it with peace, to become the kind of person whose presence speaks louder than any paycheck. That is the wealth that cannot be stolen, and that is the wealth that sustains. Chapter 12. Redefining enough, the end of chasing, the beginning of peace. There is a lie that lies at the root of almost every money struggle. A silent, suffocating whisper that says, it is never enough. No matter how much you earn, how far you go, how hard you work, something in you remains unsatisfied. You buy more, you hustle harder, you build faster. But the finish line keeps moving. You hit a goal, and instead of celebrating, you shift your eyes to the next. You finally afford the thing you prayed for, and instead of resting, you start worrying about how long you can keep it. You keep chasing more, but you never feel secure. Because the problem is not your income. The problem is your definition of enough. Until you define enough, you will remain in the emotional loop of scarcity. Not because you are poor, but because you are uninsured. You will confuse growth with anxiety. You will mistake striving for success. You will keep chasing numbers, not realizing that you are trying to heal an internal emptiness with an external measurement. Enough is not a number. It is a state, a posture, a sense of grounded peace that says, I have what I need. I am who I need to be. I do not need to prove, perform, or panic to justify my worth. Enough is what anchors the soul while the world screams for more. But here is the truth: most people never define it. And if you do not define enough, you will unconsciously adopt the world's definition, and the world will always tell you you are behind. It will seduce you with comparison. It will shame you into upgrades. It will pressure you to perform for applause. And all the while, it will never tell you when you have arrived. So you must decide. Right now. What does enough look like for you? What level of income supports your peace? What kind of home feels nourishing, not just impressive? What rhythm of work allows you to still love your life? What kind of giving feels generous and sustainable? What kind of wealth feels spacious, not heavy? These questions are not meant to shrink you, they are meant to free you. Because once you know what you are truly building toward, you can stop running toward everything else. You can focus. You can breathe. You can build with precision instead of panic. I have seen this shift change lives. A man I coached once told me, I just need to make $1 million. Then I will feel secure. I asked him why. He said, because that is what success looks like. I asked him to list everything he would actually do with that money. He started talking about a peaceful home, travel twice a year, retiring his parents, and having a cushion in savings. We calculated it together and realized he could do all of that with half of what he was chasing. His body relaxed. His voice softened. That day he began building toward what mattered, not just what was marketed. You must do the same. Redefining enough does not mean you stop growing. It means you stop grasping. It means you stop sacrificing peace to chase an invisible finish line. It means you build from sufficiency, not from lack. It means you let your life feel rich now, not only someday. Because enough is not a final destination, it is the floor beneath every decision you make. When you know what is enough, you stop overworking to prove your worth. You stop overspending to soothe your stress. You stop overgiving to stay relevant. You stop overcommitting to feel important. You move with clarity, with simplicity, with calm. You become harder to manipulate, harder to exhaust, harder to distract. Because you are no longer building from ego, you are building from essence. This is the shift from anxiety to authority, from scarcity to sovereignty, from striving to stewardship. And it changes everything. Because once you define enough, more becomes optional, not obsessive. You can still grow. You can still expand. But you are no longer trying to outrun emptiness. You're just enjoying the overflow. Let this be your invitation. Pause. Look at your life. What are you really chasing? Whose definition are you serving? What part of you believes that peace must be earned, that rest must be delayed, that worth is tied to output? That part of you deserves compassion. But it also deserves healing. Because you were not born to live in a loop of almost. You were born to live in the rooted power of this is enough. From that place, your best decisions are born. From that place, your deepest peace awakens. From that place, your wealth becomes sacred not because it makes you more, but because it magnifies who you already are. So define it. Write it. Claim it. Protect it. Let your vision for enough be your anchor so that every yes you give, every dollar you spend, every dream you chase, flows from the unshakable truth that you are not behind, you are not too late, you are not lacking. You are simply returning to what has always been waiting for you. Enough. The financial standards you no longer negotiate. This is where everything shifts. Not in theory, but in decision. Not in information, but in identity. Because it does not matter how many financial books you have read, how many budgeting apps you have downloaded, or how many goals you have written in your journal if your standards do not change. Your life will not either. Your future is not built on what you hope will happen. It is built on what you refuse to tolerate. And now, you must decide. You are no longer available for a life where money is chaos. You are no longer available for financial guilt dressed up as generosity. You are no longer available for undercharging, overspending, or abandoning your vision to keep other people comfortable. This is your reset. Not because life will suddenly get easier, but because you are becoming someone who leads with clarity, not fear. Who builds with principle, not panic. Who uses money with precision not as a reaction, but as a reflection of deep inner knowing. From this moment forward, you do not allow money to be a mystery. You track. You plan. You honor. You lead it. You stop checking your bank account with shame. You stop hiding from bills. You stop letting emotions dictate decisions. Because financial avoidance is no longer your identity. From this moment forward, you give yourself permission to earn unapologetically. You charge what your work is worth. You raise your prices when your skill rises. You walk away from clients who confuse your gifts with discounts. Because you now understand money is not your worth, but how you price your time reflects how deeply you trust yourself. From this moment forward, you stop spending to soothe. You learn to name the emotion before you swipe the card. You build rituals of nourishment that do not require transactions. You make peace your home, not a temporary reward. From this moment forward, you protect your boundaries. You say no with strength. You walk away with clarity. You allow discomfort in others if it means alignment in you. Because your money now flows where your soul is safe. From this moment forward, you stop waiting for money to give you freedom. You create freedom through structure, through discipline, through intentional design. You are no longer waiting for the right season. You are becoming the right person. The kind of person who builds wealth from the inside out, sees money not as power, but as a true love purpose, does not fear risk but chooses it with wisdom, honors their future self more than their present feelings. This is your new standard. If it costs you clarity, it is too expensive. If it costs you peace, it is not worth the return. If it costs you your vision, it is no longer negotiable. You do not earn to escape, you earn to expand. You do not give to impress, you give to activate circulation. You do not budget to restrict, you budget to honor your mission. You do not invest to look smart, you invest to build security and soul-led freedom. So stop calling this a money journey. Call it what it really is, a full-body return to power. Because when your financial standards change, your entire life becomes recalibrated. No more proving. No more pretending. No more pleasing everyone while your dreams suffocate in the shadows. From this moment forward, you are the one who sees clearly. You are the one who builds slowly, steadily, soulfully. You are the one who says no to what distracts and yes to what aligns. You are the one who does not hustle for crumbs because you are too busy preparing a table of abundance. Money is not your master. It is your mirror. And it will rise to meet you the moment you choose to no longer live by accident. This is the reset. This is the moment. You now live by standards, not by survival. And because of that, everything must shift. Embody the wealth you were born to carry. This is not about becoming rich. This is about becoming ready. Ready to hold what is yours. Ready to stop shrinking for systems that were never built for your brilliance. Ready to stop apologizing for desiring more, not because you need more to be whole, but because you are whole, and therefore you deserve to experience life without financial fear. This is not about earning your worth. You were already worthy before you ever held a dollar. This is about remembering that your hands, your heart, your mind were built to carry peace, power, and provision at the same time. You are no longer here to chase money. You are here to partner with it. To walk with it as an extension of your clarity. To lead it with calm. To multiply it with wisdom. To release it with joy. To use it to build what your soul has always known was possible. Because money in the hands of someone rooted in purpose is not dangerous. It is divine. And this is what you must now choose. To stop waiting. To stop wondering. To stop circling the same patterns, the same excuses, the same survival loops dressed up as logic. You now know too much to go back. You now see too clearly to pretend you are still blind. You now remember who you are and who you are becoming. So build your systems. Raise your standards. Guard your vision. Speak your value. Spend with intention. Invest with courage. And most of all, become the person who no longer lives at the mercy of money, but who lives with mastery over it. Let others chase the numbers. Let others fight for approval. Let others perform for applause. You move with conviction. You speak when it matters. You earn with ease. You give without fear. You walk into rooms with presence. Because you no longer need permission to live free. You have already rewired the root. The branches will follow. The fruit will come. The harvest is not in the hustle. The harvest is in your being. And the ones who understand this, who stop performing wealth and start embodying wisdom, are the ones who shift not just their own lives, but the legacy that follows them. So take one last breath and say this with your whole spirit. I am no longer afraid of money. I am no longer ruled by lack. I am no longer owned by systems that demand my silence. I am the author of my financial future. I am the steward of wealth that honors my soul. I am the one who sees money as a sacred tool, and I use it well. Let this be your final reminder. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not unqualified. You are becoming. And now the world will feel what happens when someone finally remembers the power they were born to carry. Let your life prove what your thoughts have restructured. Let your money reflect what your heart now believes. Let your actions write the story your ancestors never got to finish. This is the new era. This is your return to financial wholeness. And this is only the beginning.